In the heart of Lagos, where the skyline shimmered with towering skyscrapers and the streets buzzed with unending energy, lived a billionaire named Chief Amara Agu, a self-made man who built his empire from the ground up. He had everything: wealth, power, and influence. But there was one thing he could not control: his only daughter, Amara. Amara was the embodiment of excess and recklessness. With her father's wealth at her disposal, she lived a life of extravagance. She partied in the most exclusive clubs, traveled to the most exotic locations, and indulged in every luxury imaginable. She had no regard for rules, no respect for tradition, and no interest in the responsibilities that came with being the heiress to her father's empire. Chief Amara had tried everything: pleading, scolding, even cutting off her credit cards, but nothing worked. His daughter was determined to live on her own terms. That was until one fateful night when Amara's reckless lifestyle nearly cost her everything. It was past midnight when Amara stumbled out of a high-end nightclub in Victoria Island, intoxicated and barely aware of her surroundings. Her friends had all left, but she was too lost in the euphoria of the night to care. As she fumbled with her phone to book a ride, a dark SUV pulled up beside her. Before she could react, the doors swung open, and masked men jumped out, grabbing her. Screams filled the empty street, but luck was on her side. A passing police patrol spotted the scene and intervened. The kidnappers fled, leaving Amara shaken and traumatized. The incident was a wake-up call for Chief Amara. He realized that his daughter's reckless lifestyle was not just a personal problem. It was a security threat. If his enemies wanted to hurt him, Amara was their easiest target. Determined to protect his daughter, Chief Amara made a drastic decision. He hired a personal bodyguard, an ex-military man named Chidi Okafor. Chidi was the complete opposite of Amara: disciplined, principled, and focused. He had served in the Nigerian army before transitioning into private security. He had faced war zones, political turmoil, and high-risk operations, but nothing could prepare him for the battle he was about to face: Amara Agu. The first meeting was nothing short of a disaster. Amara took one look at Chidi and rolled her eyes. "I don't need a babysitter," she scoffed, tossing her designer bag onto the couch. "You don't have a choice," her father replied sternly. "Chidi will be with you at all times. Wherever you go, he goes." Amara groaned in frustration, glaring at the tall, broad-shouldered man standing in front of her. He was stoic, his face unreadable. "I don't follow orders from strangers," she snapped. Chidi didn't flinch. "Then consider me family." From that day on, Amara's life became a war zone. Chidi followed her everywhere: shopping malls, restaurants, clubs. Every attempt to ditch him failed. He was always one step ahead. At first, she did everything to make his job miserable. She flirted with random men just to annoy him, tried sneaking out, and even tricked her friends into distracting him. But Chidi was unshakable. No matter what she did, he remained professional, calm, and unmoved. But what frustrated her the most was that he never reacted to her antics. Other men fell at her feet, yet Chidi remained indifferent. It was infuriating. One evening, after an unsuccessful attempt to lose him at a concert, she confronted him. "Why don't you ever say anything?" she demanded. "Are you even human?" Chidi simply looked at her. "I am here to protect you, not entertain you." For the first time in a long time, Amara was at a loss for words. As weeks passed, Amara began to notice things she had never paid attention to before. Chidi was not just her bodyguard. He was a man of depth and strength. He never spoke much, but when he did, his words carried wisdom. One evening, they were at a charity event her father sponsored. Amara, bored, sipped on a glass of wine when she noticed Chidi talking to a group of orphans. He was laughing, kneeling to their level, genuinely engaging with them. It was the first time she saw him smile. That night, curiosity got the better of her. "Why do you care so much about those kids?" she asked. Chidi hesitated before answering. "I grew up in an orphanage," he said. "I know what it's like to have nothing." For the first time, Amara saw beyond the rigid exterior. There was a man with a story, a man who had endured hardship and risen above it. It made her wonder, what had she ever done for anyone other than herself? Slowly, Amara's reckless lifestyle began to change. She started attending charity events, not out of obligation, but because she genuinely wanted to. She began spending less time at clubs and more time working at her father's company, learning the business she had once dismissed. Chidi noticed the change but said nothing. However, Chief Obinna did. "You've changed, Amara," he said one day. "And I think I know why." Amara blushed, but she denied it. "I just grew up, Dad." But deep down she knew the truth. Chidi had influenced her in ways she never thought possible. And somewhere along the way, she had fallen in love with him. It was an impossible love. She was the daughter of a billionaire. He was her bodyguard. They came from different worlds. Yet, one evening, as they stood on the balcony of her father's mansion, watching the Lagos skyline, she whispered, "Do you ever think about breaking the rules?" Chidi turned to her, his face unreadable. Some rules are not meant to be broken. But when she leaned in, he didn't pull away. For a moment the world stopped. It was just them, two souls from different worlds drawn to each other. Their love was not without obstacles. When Chief Obinna found out, he was furious. "He is not one of us," he thundered. But Amara stood her ground. "He is a better man than any of those wealthy suitors you keep introducing me to." For the first time in her life, she was fighting for something real. And Chidi, despite his initial resistance, realized he could no longer deny his feelings. It wasn't easy. Society whispered, her friends mocked, but love, real love, was worth it. In the end, Chief Obinna saw the truth. It wasn't about wealth or status. It was about character. Chidi had done what no one else could. He had transformed his daughter, not by force, but by example. With time, Chief Obinna accepted their love. And as Lagos bustled beneath them, Amara and Chidi walked into the future, hand in hand, proving that sometimes, love finds us in the most unexpected places.